Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, Federal Reserve meeting yesterday. Let's talk about that in a second. Let's see where we're at. Well, the 10-year Treasury definitely didn't like what Jerome Powell had to say. And the rally of the past week or two has pretty much been canceled out. I hope that we can claw some of that back at some point, but usually that's not going to happen today. We got the S&P 500. Well, you know, the S&P 500 seems to be taking it okay. Like, they definitely got hit, but not too hard. But that kind of just makes me concerned that they could fall further today. Definitely, like, we're right at 6,900, so I think the options market makers would love for us to get back below that level. Oil kind of just trucking along, not a huge shift there in oil. Gold and silver seem to have handled it okay as well. Silver's actually a little bit better than gold today. Copper. Okay, well, copper was knocking on those highs again, but it seems to be falling hard this morning. That's a little curious. Japanese yen is hurting. We gotta come over to a daily chart for that. Okay, why do I have a? Yeah, that is a new low for the year for the Japanese yen. That could be a real problem. And then Bitcoin seems to be falling. So, other news, real quick, it sounds like that the meeting with Xi on Thursday went well. It sounds like that they're putting like a truce. They're gonna claw back the tariffs to more reasonable levels and not completely get rid of them and have like a truce for a year. I'm not quite sure if this makes sense, but perhaps Donald Trump is thinking about the midterms. He wants a pause for the midterms is my guess. So that's going to be a factor here in the markets as well. I would think that would be a positive for most of the markets, like that the S&P 500 would like that, and that the Treasuries would like that as well, because one of the big concerns, one of the reasons why we haven't reduced interest rates faster is because of concerns about inflation from tariffs. So, but for the meeting yesterday, what happened? Well, what happened was basically from the outset, Powell basically said, I'm not sure if we're going to cut rates in December, because the market's been pricing like a 95% chance that they would. And we'll take a look at it later. Like, let's look at the end of the session. I don't know if it matters when we look, but it was 65% when I was looking yesterday. And who knows, maybe they'll start to price that it's unlikely that they cut it all. Now, I think that if they, if the probability of cuts this year decreases, the probability of cuts next year probably increases. So there's that. But my takeaway of it is the Fed is no longer data dependent. Like, the reason that the market was pricing a 95% chance of a cut in December was because the data suggested it. Like, there was this whole thing about will they, won't they? Donald Trump wants them. Maybe he's going to strong arm them into it. A lot of people pushed back against that. And then the data started coming out really, really bad. And that's when the chances of rate cuts, you know, at the end of this year started to skyrocket and become almost a sure thing. And then sure enough, they did it. So this is partly why I think there is a possibility later on that they do claw it back. But, you know, listening to Powell speak yesterday, there were many, many, many points during that press conference that I was just like, you know, I didn't want to stream it. Just didn't feel like it. I was here, but I just didn't feel like it. But I was like yelling and screaming at the screen, man. There's so many things that he said that were his opinion, that were like, I really felt like sticking your head in the sand. Like, the one that I think was like the most far off was when they were saying, well, won't cutting rates, won't this just provide more capital for them to throw into AI data center spend? And Powell was like, no, because the spending on data center is not interest rate dependent. And I almost feel like it's almost like avoiding the question, because yeah, they're investing regardless of regardless of where interest rates are. But all that means is that if they get more money, a lot of it is likely to go into AI. It just is. Our artificial intelligence investment is crowding out everything else. And so you're cutting interest rates to help the job market. Companies are not putting it into creating new jobs. They're putting it into AI spend. And I just felt like his answer on that was like sticking your head in the sand. I also really, really disliked his answer to kind of later in the thing where they asked, well, why do you think that hiring is so low? And he said, well, because the labor market decreased, because there's less workers overall. So he's like, there's not this line of people looking for jobs. And so companies aren't responding by hiring people. It's kind of like if there is an oversupply of people looking for work, companies should respond to that oversupply by taking advantage to hire people at cheaper. And that's not happening. But the truth is that there is this line of people out there looking for work, especially in the tech industry. It's absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers in the job market right now. Any kind of white collar job is just getting destroyed, devastated. These whole industries, people's whole lives. I've got probably like 6 months of savings, and then I don't know what we do. And I'm starting to get very, very concerned about how difficult it's going to be, you know, like at the outset. I remember talking about this. Oh, it could take a year, you know, it could be more than a year to find a job like that. Like, that's just the statistics, right? But now I'm looking at this like multiple years, if ever. And the Federal Reserve is just like, no, you don't exist. And I really, it's no longer about the data. It is a blood feud between Republicans and Democrats on the Federal Reserve Board. And Democrats don't want interest rates to come down because they don't want the economy to do well, because they think that if the economy does poorly, that it will help them in the midterms, even though the best that they can basically do in the midterms is keep the Senate at a standstill. The whole thing is just dumb. The whole thing is just dumb to me. So yeah, I was very unhappy with yesterday's press conference. It reminded me of the December 2018. Like, the reason I'm talking about it in the way that I am, you might be surprised. You might be like, well, you're being a little bit stronger about it than usual. Maybe you're just too emotional because you're on the job market, right? But the reason I'm being so strong is because when this happened in 2018, I remember sitting in that press conference in 2018 when I can't remember if it was that I think that the market wanted them to cut and they didn't, is what I think it was. And as he was talking, the market tanked. And then after that, it was just a complete disaster the whole rest of the month. Huge decline. That was 2018, right? I think that was 2018. And I remember watching that press conference and being like, okay, this is kind of dumb, but not really really sharing my opinion, and then it ended up being a disaster. So that's why I'm kind of saying it, because it feels like that press conference. Like, I think that the market's going to start putting on a fit here. And I don't think that it will take too much to get the equity market to a place where there's some real money coming out. Well, you come back over here and you look at like a daily chart. You come back to the beginning of the month, right? It was surprising when not just that we reached the new highs, but that we did it so aggressively this week, right? So if we start coming back into that channel, and heaven forbid, start reaching some of these lower levels, that's, I think, going to put a lot more fear into the market. And here's another issue. And a transition to some other things that we need to talk about today. I did do some work yesterday on our projected range, cash projected range indicator. And I was able to make it so that for some reason, the level 2 changes indicator is having an issue here. That's a bug that I've never been able to sort down. But it does scrape the implied volatility and write it to the file. Ta-da! A little bit more testing to do here. We need to try it on multiple instruments and stuff. Like add it onto another chart and see that it creates the file correctly, so that the first time that you use the indicator, it works okay. This was the first test because when I was doing it yesterday, even though it was the start of the session, the piece of code that I'm using, it's not going to scrape it until it's the day of. So, so what did it scrape? Implied volatility, ZN 4.4. So it's as low as it was on Tuesday. How is that possible? How is that possible? I guess let's just do a quick sanity check here, I guess. 10-year note, December, option quotes, 4.4. Okay. So the market, the treasuries especially, are experiencing severely low volatility. And that's concerning to me. Because that's how the whole quant trash started, right? Make it put the IV number on the chat. That's a really good idea, Uzi. That's why we have you here, man. I love that idea so much that I think we should just do it like right now. What's going to happen with the first spike in volatility? Well, if you like, let's say the scenario that I've been drawing out here happens, the S&P 500, you know, claws back those previous highs and falls below them, and you start to see volatility increase. What will probably happen is you'll see volatility increase very, very quickly, because you get all of these people that are selling volatility, and there's all of these factors that are suppressing volatility. So when volatility exceeds those expectations, those people are losing money, and that makes the move even bigger. And then on top of that, you have been having some of these like financing issues, right? Like we had the car lender went under, and we've got a couple of small regional banks that have been struggling because they had to take big write-downs on loans that they gave to people that were fraudulent, right? So if you get that spike in volatility, you would almost immediately start to have trouble in the financing market. And yeah, you would probably have to step in. Like you would have to see government step in. So like I feel like that what the market is saying is that things are likely to be relatively calm and positive going into the end of the year, but that if something happens, it'll be a real disaster. The way they're dumping off, you would think that they were... Well, the way they dumped off coming into the session was definitely like when I came in before I ate and took a look at it, it was like, well, it's down just a little bit from yesterday. But that's looking a little bit more extreme, isn't it? Now, on that note, we got to the extended session line and have not really like moved much from there. But remember, our theory was that when you've already had a relatively large overnight move, that they're likely to come to the regular session one instead. So we could see a move as low as 15.5 here during our session. Also, well, you missed that. What happened was Powell said that a rate cut in December is not certain, even though the market is pricing a 95% chance of it, or was at the time. So that's why the market cratered, because during the press conference they had to adjust the market expectation for rate cuts in December. You have to just go back and rewind. I'm not going to do that one again. I'm just like too upset about it. I'm just too upset about it. I feel like we experienced a lot of setbacks yesterday. So a couple of other things here before I dig into the code a little bit. What do we say? So the scraping works. I thought that Uzi had the historical volatility levels so that we could do some testing, but apparently he doesn't. So I feel like that was a setback. But then I went and started to try and see if we could actually integrate XGBoost into NinjaTrader to do the machine learning part. And it was not working. I got excited at first because when I started looking for C# XGBoost libraries, because basically what happens is there's a C++ library and people are just writing a wrapper around that. And there was one project that kind of got abandoned and somebody forked it off and is actively maintaining it. But that one, for whatever reason, is they made it only compatible with .NET 8 or whatever it is. NinjaTrader is .NET 4.8. So I found some libraries that seemed to be compatible with, version 4 and above. But the way that they were built and things like that, they just didn't work. Like the one that was most maintained, when I try adding it, it turns out that it's using .NET Standard. It's using too many things from .NET Standard, and you'd have to include .NET Standard. And then if you include .NET Standard 2.0, that conflicts with a bunch of NinjaTrader names and namespaces, so that doesn't work. So, and I tried a couple of different ones. There was one that really seemed like it had no dependencies and it should be fine. But when I load that DLL up, it just like it says that the DLL is like the wrong format. So it's like not even compatible. NinjaTrader can't even load it. I think that I could potentially fork that repository that's being actively maintained, and then either it might just be as simple as rebuilding it with as a 4.8 library, or I might have to make some code changes to make it work. And that was probably a few days of work. So I'm really, really unsure if I should pursue that right now or not. This is the whole reason why I want to make this is the quintessential example of why I want to make my own platform. So if we make our own platform and it's managed in Python and you're allowed to use virtual environments or Conda to manage the Python dependencies part, then you can just do any kind of machine learning that you want really, really easily. And that is the primary value add of our platform, in addition to just me and my ideas and things that I think we can use to make platform better. So yeah, but that has me like, well, maybe I just need to spend more time on the platform today and forget the machine learning thing. Or the other option would be, there's a third option. The third option is put some work into the WebSockets thing, which is maybe not a terrible idea, because I might be able to, if I make a WebSocket interface that allows NinjaTrader to speak to Python, the parts that I build in Python might still be transferable or cross-compatible with my new platform. So that wouldn't necessarily be wasted effort. Anyways, so how should we do the text here? I think that I would like to have the number printed on the chart at the start of the day. Where would you put it, Uzi? Because I'm thinking I can probably put it like right at the open. Just I don't know if I would want to put it above it or below it, but I could, like if it was today, I could have it just be like right here. I think that would make sense.
Block cell.
Well, there's the treasuries moving again. Wow, that really came in quick, didn't it? I think we'll see that 15.5. Also wondering if I should use chart object or, I think that having a chart object would have some advantages, because if it was a chart object, I could unlock it so that you can move the label if you want. What do you think about that? The issue with chart objects, and the reason why I kind of avoid them to some extent, is because they do slow your chart down. But that's really instances where I'm putting, like, you know, on every swing there's a marker or something. Like, that gets really, really slow. This is a number for each day. I don't think that would be a big deal. I don't know if you would want it just at the beginning of the session, or if you'd want it at the beginning of the regular session. Doesn't matter. I'm just noting the market order imbalance here. Even though they're selling, it doesn't look that the imbalance doesn't actually look that extreme to me. So I think it may be the case you actually are getting volume both ways, but the bid market makers are nervous in pulling their orders. Okay, well, you know, we can always change it too. So let us make a chart object. Let's see here. I don't even remember the name of the just draw text. Draw text. Really? I thought that as soon as I put the open parentheses that it would give me IntelliSense, but it did not. What's with that? If I compile that, it complains, right? Ah, the name draw text does not exist. Oh, draw dot text, that's why. Draw dot. Yes. This. Comma. String tag. Let's call it, we'll call it, volatility plus today dot date. Nah, let's there we go. Today, toString that's good. Comma. Text is current volatility plus percent, comma, bars go 0, comma, and let's put it at the high of yeah, that's what I want. Owner tag text bars ago double y. So I can do that. Try that. I should be capitalized. Okay, it added them. On. Oh, probably no. Where is it going? It's making them. That's better than I was expecting. Like, that seems correct to me. I'm not quite sure. Well, and it's on the 29th at 4 o'clock. So it's right there at the beginning of the extended session, which is where it should be, right? So why am I not seeing it? Ah, it's just too faint to see. There we go. Oh, that's funny. Okay, but high of 0 plus... Ooh. How should we do it? No. Let's do it this way. Let's do up target 50 of 0 plus or minus tick size times 4. Morning, Paul. There we go. Now, I would like I think it's, you know, technically it's anchored at the same right spot, but really we need text alignment like right on it, right? Or is it left? Yeah. Text alignment left. Okay, so that's the first one. There's one with the alignment. Alright, wow. He's gonna make it difficult. I have to add like everything. Double Y. Three I Atlas and collapse the markets. I don't know. Where is that at now? Hmm. It's behind the sun. Oh, okay. Let's says to just add all of this. Let's try it. Try that. Oh, doesn't like this. Oh, these ones have bool is auto. Okay, so owner tag is auto scale. offsets. Font, alignment, brush. There you go, opacity. No, I have them all correct. It's weird how our overnight levels are identical, but we have different session levels. So when you say our overnight levels are identical, do you mean like these ones are the same, but then these ones are different? Argument 3. 1, 2, 3. No, what are we doing wrong here? Okay, owner. Oh, let's do that. Owner. Bring. Oh, okay. I got this backwards. It goes here. And this one goes away. For the overnight, I have 114.04. Wait, how are you getting 114.04? Oh, 113.04. Okay, even 113.04 seems a little high. Okay, but it's one tick off. One tick off. For the session, though, our values are different. But perhaps you are... Oh, hold on. Well, maybe... No, I don't think it's because we're using 5-minute chart. Here's the 620. Like, maybe... Am I maybe not using... Oh, why am I... Oh, I miss... Okay. There we go. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. I mean, it would be what you set as the open, right? What did you use for the open? It used 112.20. 20 half. And you used 21 half. Where are you getting 21 half from? So then, are all of your levels for the regular session 3 ticks off? That's based on the open line indicator. I'm not familiar with that one. Element open line. Must be a custom. Oh, daily open high low close. Okay. I think I scrolled past it. The current day open high low. We'll just tell it to show the open. Oh, on the RTH. Well, that doesn't help. Oh. Ew. Interesting. Why is that? Yeah. Yeah, there's some issue with the time that I'm using for the RTH open. I think you're correct. And I would be inclined to think that this RTH open would be correct. So why? But I'm having a hard time here matching them up. It's basically it's saying that the open is this bar. This is the bar that ends at 620. This is the bar that ends at 620. This is the bar that ends at 625. And the way that I am doing it is I am saying if time equals today's start time. Yeah, them time stamping them by when they end is kind of confusing a lot, isn't it? Like, that's not the first time I've run into that. Which is why I often prefer the range bars. They make more sense. right? Like this side of the bar is 630. And this side of the bar is. I would like this side of the bar to be. Yeah, I would like when I'm like zoomed in here, right? When I have my cursor over here, I would like it to say 620, and when I have my cursor over here, it should say 625. So wait, it doesn't change if I go to a 1 minute, does it? Nope, it doesn't. Okay, so that actually makes me, because I kind of pulled this bit of code from something else, and it makes me wonder if some of the other tests that we did that were based on time were all wrong. I wonder what ChatGPT would say about this. From Uzbekistan? This is treasury markets. Wait, what? That won't work. Okay, maybe that will work. We also use Bookmap. Nope, don't need to. Jigsaw does all of the things that Bookmap does, but better, in my opinion. Yeah, it says that there is no 2 time span. You know what? It gave me some Oh, jeez. Option 1, option 2, detect crossing of session start. Oh, yeah, this one is way better. It's like, well, you could do this, but then it goes, but actually you should do this. And this is the recommended way to do it. And I look at that and I say, yes, that is correct. But there's an issue with that, which is, what we have to say, if bar is greater than 0. If it always does this one, right? Okay, so wait a second. I want to test this first. Okay, that does work. That simplifies things a little bit. Okay, so our second deviation was 10.5. No, it still says it's 10.5. Kind of been, you know, I feel like it's been a curious session for treasuries. It's not quite playing out the way that I expect. It's been a little bit quieter than I expected, I guess. Is that no? The DOMs are Jigsaw and the charts are NinjaTrader 8. This dot instrument dot master instrument dot format price. $112.20 half, and it is supposed to be 21 half. And why is it? I bet you if I come over here to this one, then it gets it correct. So that doesn't do it. The one that is their recommended approach, the more that I think about it, seems wrong, because I will do time of 0. Well, okay, so what if I did this? I'll log the current bar and do that. And then I'm going to change it back to what we had before, which was if time of 0 equals today's start time. Yes, it detects the same bar. No, so the check that it wants me to use is if the time of 1 is less than today's start time and the time of 0 is greater than today's start time, then it will pick it up, right? But it's basically, that's the same as today. So like if today's start time is 6:20 is what should be in there. 6:20. Then when I'm at the 6:20 bar, the bar that I need, time of 0 will be greater than today's start time. And time of 1 will be equal to today's start time, won't it? Right. Like if I change this, actually, this would work. I don't know if this is the right way for me to do it. But if I just say if time of 1 equals today's start time, picks up the right one. Now it had this other thing. Let's go back to their option one. Bars period dot value is it brought up this variable that I had never seen before that I find bars period value determines an integer value representing line break bars objects. This why is it? The NinjaTrader documentation, like, it sticks us into this little box in it so I can't read it. What's with that? Ninja, please fix. Determines an integer value representing the period parameter when calculating bars objects. This represents the reversal parameter when using line break bars. This object represents the line break count parameter. When using pointed figure bars, this represents the box size bar. When using Renko bars objects, this represents the brick size parameter. I see. So for minutes, it would be the number of minutes, essentially. So wait a second. I have an indicator that I put on that tells me when the session starts. Like at 7:30, it goes ding and it doesn't do it at 7:31. It does it at 7:30, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Which is doing essentially the same thing. The session start time is a user input, actually. So you could come in here and say, oh, do I not have it as a user? Maybe I don't have it as a user input. Wait a second. Start time? Is that not? It's not. Oh, no, it is. Oh, why did I put it browsable false? Gosh dang it. Took too long to build. That's so weird. Gotta give myself a second. I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed by it because there's like 3 levels of issues coming up here. And like, oh yeah, it looks correct because I'm using the timestamp for the previous bar. So I don't know. Like that definitely won't work for if you use a non-time based bar, right? So if we changed this to like range bars or something like that, it won't select the correct value. You know what? I need a Kleenex here. I'll be right back. See, I liked this one where it said, okay, if the previous bar is less than it and the current bar is more than it, then it's that. But that won't be the case because the previous bar will be less than or equal to it. So I suppose I could come in here and I could say, oh, it has it backwards. That's why. That one. It should be if time of 1 is less than or equal to today's start time, and time of 0 is greater than today's start time. That also selects the correct one. Okay. Interestingly enough, my line at time marker 1 has I come over to that indicator. I got one on a chart over here. Because we know it makes the sound at the right time, right? Like if it was making the sound 1 minute late every day, we would notice, you know? Like, and we have one on there that's supposed to go off at 8:55, right? Yeah, 7 or in 5 minutes. So we can test that. But this one, you specify the start hour and the start minute, and it creates and then it creates a time span out of that. So that's different. But now I'm interested. Now that I got something that kind of works, at least. What was it? Current day open high low. This is I don't think this is the first time I've looked at this, and I seem to recall this being like way more complicated than I would have thought. On bar type, it's an intraday return. Last date, current date, get trading day. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. If last date isn't current date, or current open equals the minimum value, oh, okay. So this is using when the session iterator shifts to determine where to set it. I run a 2 data set chart, different colors for ETH and RTA sessions, so I can differentiate the specific action. Well, I think that we would like different colors for these, but you can change those by hand, but we can change the defaults at least. And what are we having something going on here? Did I forget about something? No. UCB press conference. Oh, okay. Anyways. Is there a default NinjaTrader indicator that deals with time like that? I don't know. So here's the code for my line at time that I insist works. So it's using time of 0, saying if the hour is the same and the minute is the same, then it's the time. This doesn't go off. Well, we'll wait 3 minutes. This is going to go off at 7:55. I guess the answer here though is that yes, when this on bar update gets called, it will get called at the end of the bar, which will be 7:55 rather. I don't know why I keep saying 8. It'll be at 7:55. It will go off, and that's when the on bar update calls. But the open for that bar was the previous bar. So very interesting. Very interesting. So maybe the reason I think I see the reason why I've never run into this before with my previous indicators is because anytime that I was using that timing, I wanted it to run and do something at that moment. But we're trying to get the open, and it will get the open essentially a minute late if you do it that way. Or rather, it will use the wrong bar. So I don't know if that will work correctly with other bar types. But we can try it here. So first, let's wait 30 seconds. I think let's close this chart right here. What do you mean ES is bugging out? See, it makes the ding at the right time. It's just that if I then had it give me the open of that bar, it would be giving me the wrong open. Is the time data stored? No. So the way that it works is there's an array. And if you go array of 0, that is the current most recent bar. Okay. So when the current most recent bar has the time 7:55, I have it play a sound. Right? But the problem is that is for the bar that ends at 7:55. You get what I mean? So the bar that ends at 7:55, then I play the sound. But the open of that bar was actually the previous bar, right? The bar just before the open. Ergo, the open that I'm getting is wrong. So what I really have to do, if you're doing it as on bar close, then I have to say the bar that closes at, if I wanted to do it at 6:20 my time, I have to do it on the bar that opens at 6:20 and closes and is time stamped at 6:25 or 6:21, depending on what type of bar it is, right? So like if you put the indicator on a different bar type, it should still, well, so yeah, now we're good. Now we'll test. Okay. Duplicate in new window here. And so what should we change it to? 5,000 tick, maybe? 11.5? Or 5,000 volume? Maybe... Wait, we need bigger than that. Oh, that's way too big. Yeah, then it's broken. But that is a different error, actually, because the error here is the open is somewhere in between the bar. So the open happens somewhere in between the bar, and thus, well, let's see if I can show that. So the open happens halfway, like right here, halfway through this bar. And so this bar is too big, and I'm counting the open of that, which ends up being 21. I'm not sure if what I just said there is exactly correct, but I think that the general principle is correct. That the open happens somewhere in the middle of this volume bar. Yeah. So the indicator only works on a time-based series. So that the code that we've got still doesn't fix that issue. Okay, so but let's ask ChatGPT. For non-time-based bars, the bar duration is not predictable in clock time, so the session start could fall anywhere within the bar. In that case, open of 0, time of 0, or even the bar's computed start time can't be relied on to line up with the session boundary. So the only correct and robust approach is to detect when the bar crosses this session's start time. They give that same set of code that doesn't work. Well, so now hold on a second, because if I come in here and I say, so let's try and get a chart that's a little bit more clear to see this issue. So we got a 5-minute chart, right? And let's add to it. Let's add to it like a range. Let's make it like a 16 range bars or something like that. Yeah. And also change these to be box. That'll help a little bit too. Okay. So, and then on here, we'll also add the line at time. 6:20. Okay. So just remember, this is the bar that ends at 6:20. So this bar is the first bar of the session. Right? So the open is actually 21 and not 20 half, right? Why am I not getting the local? The open is 21 half, not 20 half. Okay. We're doing the open of this bar, right? It happens if we're on this range bar, right? The open happens partway through this, right? Well, but doesn't lizard indicators not have that problem? I'll make sure I'm clicking on the right one. So I think the lizard indicators, they have an opening range indicator. Opening range. Opening start time. Chart time. 6:20. Opening range and 7 o'clock. Apply. Input series should be this one. I guess it doesn't work with it. Did I just not? So if I change this back to input series, 5-minute chart, it does it correctly, and it starts drawing the line from there correctly. But then if I change it to this one, it breaks. Does it print out error messages when I do that? Yes, it does. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Oh, that's disappointing. It's interesting that the indicator doesn't and just use it like you're supposed to do when calling VWAP values. Okay. I don't do it that way, so I Okay, but so when we get in there and we have the correct start time though, then you do see it bounces pretty much exactly where it's supposed to, and it is actually, that line is better than the line that it was drawing before. So we did fix something there. We did make it better. It's just, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna, you're supposed to add a tick series if you plan to use VWAP values in a custom indicator. You can do it that way. I don't understand why you're supposed to do it that way. So the interesting thing about VWAP is that to calculate it in NinjaTrader, you basically want to do an on every time that there's volume and do the calculation. And that would not really be like the most efficient way to do it. You know, it's kind of like, oh, that's how NinjaTrader Codebase explain. Yeah, it's like add a 1-tick data series underneath. Yeah. Well, I think the reason that they're saying that is because maybe you don't have tick replay turned on. If you don't have tick replay turned on and you're relying on the on-market data method to count the volume, then it won't work. So that's why they say use a tick series and then. But it seems like, so that's why I created the VWAP typical. Because what I'm doing in the VWAP typical is I'm finding the typical price of the bar, which is based on the open, high, low, close, and some averaging algorithm. But anyways, if you add it to like a 5-minute chart, the difference between the VWAP typical and like the full VWAP is pretty negligible. But it'll run, 100 times faster if you're backtesting, right? So that's what the VWAP typical is all about. Anyways, but you're right. Yeah, the whole thing is it's just, it only works on time-based bars. I think that I could say if the 0 is, I think that if I said, so going back here, simplifying, because this is one of the issues that you'll have when you're programming is like, there's a bunch of different threads. Like you can take it a bunch of different ways and then each one of those branches out, right? But if I used the one that worked originally, which was I'm looking for when time of 1 instead of time of 0. And the issue with that one would be if I set my chart up to be like a 30-minute bar. So this would be a great test, actually. Duplicate in a new window, and we're going to set this to be 30 minutes. I think it's still going to be slightly wrong, but it at least sees the session start at the right place, right? See, it's just, it thinks that the open is the open of this bar right here, the 20. Is it the 20? Well, anyways, you can see that the numbers here are different from the numbers here because it's a 30-minute bar. So it has, I can't go more than 10 minutes because of the open is at 6:20, right? But at the very least, it still draws the thing. If I was doing it the other way, where I said the bar of 1 has to equal the time, then it would never detect the session start. And I'm not sure, the more that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if there is a way to get the correct opening price for a non-time based bar. Because you can have it calculate on bar close, you can have it calculate on each tick, and you can have it calculate on price change. But the open could happen at a place where none of those things happen, right? Well, I guess if it was on each tick, you would almost certainly see some volume at that, period. But it would, the open would be the first trade within that period. And maybe if you had like a 10-minute, like I could see a scenario where like this bar ends up being like 5 minutes wide, and like the first trade happens after that. So you could say on each tick, and each time that there is a tick, you check to see if it is after our time period, and then you could do it. Then it could work like that, right? Or I think what you're saying is just add a 1-minute chart. If it's not time-based, just add a 1-minute data series. Yes. But then at that point, I'm kind of, this is kind of one of the frustrating things about making retail trading software, right? Is okay, so I have this indicator the way that it is and I put it out. At some point, somebody is probably going to say, hey, I put your projected range on my 16 tick chart and it doesn't give me the correct opening value. And I'll be like, well, yeah, because you're stupid. Right? But are they really stupid? Like, shouldn't it just work if it's really the best software? Well, yeah, but like there are limitations. And if I go in and I make it so that it truly works in all scenarios, now I'm making something that's doing a check every time that there's volume. That doesn't make sense. Or I'm adding another data series, which is more memory usage. So what's actually the correct thing to do in that situation? I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like most indicate that I'm not seeing any indicators that come with the platform or that other people are making that actually fix that particular issue. So the answer is to just tell them it's only compatible with minute charts. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we've sorted all of that nonsense out, how do you feel about the number? I think that we should make some changes here. I think we should give them a little bit more, a few more options. So I gotta remember here now, what would be the best indicator for me to base this on? Something that's doing the drawing. Oh, maybe I can go into the alpha. Do I have this on the fair value gap? Yeah, I do. Okay, so I have a text color and a background color and maybe even opacity. And then do I probably do all of this stuff on render target change? Yes, it's so weird to me, this indicator that we've made. Like, I've had to pull out so many of the tricks for it. It should be like a really simple thing, and it really hasn't been. The fair value gap indicator is cool. Like, the code for it is cool. Oh, hey, are we all the way up to the open now, huh? I've been spending all this time programming, and I should have traded that, huh? I don't know. I don't know if on today, I really don't think that I would have taken that one. Like, if we weren't messing with this, and I was watching it, like, we gotta stay, stay engaged, look for a possible trade. I don't think there's any way when we pushed that lower that I would have said, okay, I'm going to go for the reversal. I would have been, today is a day where they can keep pushing. We got to be careful. I'm not going to touch it. Gradient brush, outline brush. Oh my gosh. Okay. Make the opacity a float. I'm gonna make background brush be yellow and the text be black. Is the dollar strength really an important fact? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it doesn't want the Sharp DX brushes? All of that for... Okay. So wait. Text brush. Background brush. Oh, really? It wants the area opacity from 0 to 100. Okay. Maybe I should have done it making my own drawing. Ta-da. Okay, so let's fix some of these things. Let's get all this extra stuff I added that it turns out we don't actually need. Let's give it an outline. Oops. So you're busy programming these days? Well, at least we are today. I think what we do is we get this all cleaned up to get, well, and do a little bit of testing for a bit and make a new release of the indicator package. And then I guess I focus on trading platform again. Trading platform and making videos. Because I think I'd come in because there was this whole thing with the VPS thing. We don't have to make a video about it. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, if you want to do a VPS, there is a coupon code in the public Discord announcements channel. And I'm actually, having tried it out a little bit and everything, I think that it is a good option for some people. Like if it's the choice between paying $50 a month for a VPS to trade versus building a whole computer just for trading, I think it makes more sense to make the VPS. And there are apparently a good number of people out there in that boat. I think most of us, we're building the computer and we're doing other stuff with it too, like gaming, right? But if you're just building it for trading, I feel like that the VPS is a compelling option because you do get the better latency. And, you know, like when you're doing remote, because basically you have to use remote desktop to it. There is a little bit of lag with that, but you're not going to notice that. So, you know, and if you get a better connection to the exchange and your algorithms run better, I think that that's a win. So there's a coupon code in the Discord. And I was thinking about making a video about it too, because I got a lot of data and I have this thing there, so we could make something, run an algorithm and see how it goes. But we can do that later. We can open up a combine if it goes past that time. And because it's just too hard to combine in the model that I want into NinjaTrader. So I think that it would be more productive right now to focus a little bit more on the trading system, the trading platform instead, and videos. Because really, this is such a tough position. I'm very concerned that it will be another 6 months to a year before I'm able to find another job. That's just where the market is. And if the Federal Reserve is not going to cut rates in December and then like stops cutting there, then that means that we probably continue to be in this situation where there's an oversupply of tech workers in the tech market. And that could go on for a long time, which means very high probability of Seth being underemployed in some form or another. So I've got to find ways to make money on my own. And this is the best option that I have. I'm not seeing the change that I can make in my indicator package that's going to bring a ton of people in and make that to where I'm making a living from it. If we have ideas, then we'll totally do it. But right now, I just don't have the ideas. The trading platform is one that could do that, but is probably a long ways off and would probably require some venture capital to do, which I also am very skeptical about happening with the interest rate environment. But I need to do some work on that, you know, build some contacts in the startup industry and things like that. And so that leaves the YouTube channel. Just playing the lottery with YouTube videos, making the best videos that I can, and hoping that one of them takes off. Ugh. It's very exhausting to think about it, isn't it? That's my life right now. Let's do that one last one, and it should give us a little outline around it, I think. Oh, then I have to use it. I'm not using it. Oh. You know, I didn't even notice that the dollar has been making huge moves today. There we go. All right, cool. What do you think? I wish you could make actually, can you make it? Can you make the drawing objects? You can make it bold. Okay, wait. Drawing tools, objects. Go to the most recent one. Font. Bold. Okay. Oh, come on. Well, that's a little bit better. Simple font foo equals new simple font Arial 12 family name. No. And I say foo dot bolds equals bold. Yes, I can. Probably doesn't make sense to make the simple font every time, but where were we? Text fish. Yeah, let's do it. Public int font size get set public bool bold get set. My font. I have a special font. Is this your special font? Oh, take it off. Yes, very good. Font size. Excellent. Oops. Love it. Wait, did it? When I did that, did it take the... Yeah, okay. Need to put those all into display. What are we doing? They're coming back a little bit in the treasuries. S&P has not really moved that much still. We're still kind of where we started. I think these ones should not be in MISC. They should be in properties, but oh, we need to move opacity as well. So if I come back over here, like this one, market order imbalance parameters. A lot of sell icebergs in ES, you say? Parameters. Oh, I don't have them. Correct. I hate that I can't keep that up. Acid is not a color. Also, I need this thing. Where does it go? Maybe I just don't have it for this one. That changes the order. I'm having problems. Ninja Trader charges showing me a different price. No. But you'd have to be more specific than that, because you know, like how far is it off? Parameters. Volatility factor. Oh, this comes back to that whole thing that, like, you can't see the start time. Eight-tick difference. Well, that's it. That is startling. Maybe, I mean, that would make me think there's something wrong with your data. Oh yeah, if it's a demo feed, then it's probably delayed 10 minutes. See if that works. I haven't looked at the Beyond Meats. Is it still getting crushed? Back to where it was, at least. I'm kind of get going here in a second. Did that build? I just remember when it was a hot stock and thinking like, this is the dumbest thing ever. People aren't gonna like fake meat. Yeah. Except for that wallets. Oh, I don't even use the historical volatility file name. Let's just get rid of that. How would you advise me to become a profitable trader and start making a living? You should try to make a living from a market. That's a crazy, dumb idea. You will almost certainly lose money from it. It will be a shitty living that is inconsistent, cause you extreme stress, and is really boring sitting at a computer all day too. No, the idea that the goal should be to make your entire living from trading is a terrible idea. I cannot recommend it in any way. Now, if you already have good sources of income, trading can be a good way to augment your income. And then, if you want help becoming a better trader, then there are a couple of things that I can help you. And I would recommend starting with my order flow video series here on the channel. Can I work a regular job and combine it with trading? Yeah, live in a time zone where there's enough trading early in the day before you work, and trade the treasuries because they're economically sensitive and move a lot in that early time period is I think one of the big things to help you there. Although if you can, I think trading equities is probably a better gig overall. Okay, default volatility, the factor, start time, and you get the data series, and display, and the music. I don't know. We should put the debugging stuff in its own category, but shouldn't display? I think display should be earlier. I think. Oh, I don't even have one for it. That's funny. I think this one should be display 10 so that it shows up right at the beginning. There we go. Wait, I thought I renamed all of this. No, I didn't. Huh. That's a weird. That is not what I expected you to say, Big Toasty. That's a little weird. Text color, font size, bold, background color, outline color, opacity. Cool. And then the last thing that we need to do is send it over to you guys for the beta testing. And I guess since it worked for just giving him the file, just give him the CS file. Yeah, it is weird. All right, well, I got, well, yeah, 3 minutes. Let's just take a quick look at the market here. So it looks like that the treasuries did recover a good amount here, up to 23. And if we bring this thing up, not quite to our upside targets, though. And I am still feel like that volatility at 4.4% makes... It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Coming back over here, we'll look at it from volume profile perspective. S&P 500 kind of coming down here, but nothing too crazy. I was a little worried that it'd be worse than that. It could get worse than that later in the day. So what about some of these other things? Japanese yen still getting crushed. Copper getting crushed. Oil had a bit of a jump. Interesting. It's a rare problem, and if you plot... Yeah, that is weird. Okay, well, anyways. I'm gonna get going, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellent.